Okay, so that was. Kristen can.
She's not in
Yeah,
the,
I'm texting Catherine if I don't hear back.
Then we will have 7.
I'll move.
With Diane trying to get.
Oh, wait.
Okay, thanks, Kristen. So she'll be the proxy.
Can anyone resend the link real quick? Sorry, Mika.
thank you. Your last name, Kristen?
It's Miguez, M-I-G-U-E-Z.
That's
I'm sorry, M-I-G-U-E-Z.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
okay.
Yeah.
We've got some people coming on here. Okay. I will admit these phone numbers.
What? Is Diamond on? Yeah.
She's resending the link.
I'll wait a minute. Any other members on from the committee? Can't see those.
If there are any members calling in on the phone, you can press *6 to unmute yourself to speak, members of the commission.
Hey, this is Diamond. Is there any way we can get a virtual link to see what's going on in the meeting?
I believe Mika is sending you one right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we said, right, okay. Hey, we have a majority. Okay, great. Hi, I'm Stuart Weinberg, Vice Chair of this committee. The mayor will be here, but he's entertaining the governor at the moment, so he'll be a little bit late. And I'd like to call the meeting to order. And I'd like to start, we normally start with a moment of silence, but today I would like everyone, if you would join me in remembering Dale Morris, the former resilience director for the city of Charleston. Passed away in April in a bike accident. On Sunday, the 18th, there'll be a celebration of life at Clemson at the cigar factory, that whole area, the Clemson extension. And this past Tuesday night, the city honored Dale by reading the Barberry Wood Project and renaming it in honor of Dale as the Dale Morris Ecological Park. So if you join me for a moment, and if you never got to know Dale, Dale was one of those individuals that was so inspiring to everyone. He started here. We got to know him during the Dutch dialogues a number of years ago, and then the former mayor asked him to serve as the resilience director. And he was really understood water. He understood all of the issues facing us ecologically and all those things that are really a threat to us, and worked on that. So just a moment of silence for Dale, please. Thank you. We'll start with sustainability update. Mika, please. And this is Mika's first meeting as our sustainability director, so we welcome you.
Hello, hello. I'm Nikki Gaston. Thank you so much, Stuart, for opening up our meeting. I am, I guess, newly positioned Director of Sustainability. I'm really excited and very interested to hear from everyone today. Hey, hi, friends. What I plan to do today is just, again, introduce myself to those who don't know who I am or who are less familiar. Pretty much level set a little bit in terms of what you can expect from the Department of or the Office of Sustainability. And then you'll also, of course, if you look at the agenda, you'll hear from my colleague Caitlin as well. And I really do envision this office working very closely and collaboratively, not only, of course, with resilience, but with a number of partners here, commissioners and organizations as well. And I'm not gonna get into the weeds of too much. I just wanted to give a basic update. One moment. A basic update of where we are programmatically when it comes to sustainability. And I'm doing this because since taking the helm, since my predecessor's departure, there's been a lot of questions, there have been a lot of, I guess, concerns, and I don't take that for granted. I think some of the angst when leadership changes hands is pretty typical. But I wanted to reassure folks that some of the mainstays and some of the programs that you've come to love and want to continue to grow will continue on. But let me introduce myself. I'm an environmentalist. I've occupied the environmental justice space for several years here in Charleston, specifically as a founder with the Friends of Gadsden Creek, which dealt directly with issues dealing with environmental injustice on the west side. And for those who don't know, I did run for mayor, and the only reason why I bring that up is because that experience put me on the trajectory that brought me here today. And I'm honored to have joined the Cogswell administration, and I wouldn't have joined it had I not seen firsthand the commitment from our current mayor in terms of wanting to make sure that Charleston remains a sustainable and livable place for everyone. So I'm excited to work alongside our mayor and our community collaborators to forward that agenda. So again, just very plainly wanted to let folks know about some of the mainstays here. And also introduce to those a new initiative, a newer initiative coming forward. So first and foremost, the program I get the most calls for or about residential composting. It's thriving, it's doing very well. My predecessor, Katie McCain, really set the city up for success with this program that has enjoyed enormous support from the public. So very briefly, I'll read. Charleston's residential composting program continues to grow in both participation and impact. And we couldn't be more proud of our residents for stepping up to reduce food waste and invest in a more sustainable future. With over 453 tons of food scraps composted to date and more than 3,100 households participating, this program is not only diverting waste from landfills, it's strengthening our community's commitment to climate action, which is in line with our climate action goals. We eliminated an estimated 740 metric tons of CO2 emissions and avoided 32 garbage truck trips simply by redirecting food scraps. Working, I'm gonna project as I can do.
Actually, be better, why don't you just sit over here and it'll pick you up?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it'll pick you up better and that thing will keep
Now,
popping up.
thank you.
Yeah. What I was planning to do.
Just want to thank you. Thank you.
I wanna stay.
I was just exit.
Oh, just, oh,
The little, because it keeps popping up, the voice, but I think you'll get better pickup.
but like exit out of the.
No,
Just keep,
that there.
I don't, yeah.
try talking from there and then it'll hopefully pick up your voice better.
Gotcha. Hopefully everyone can continue to hear me. The popularity of this program reflected in strong participation across all service areas and drop-off sites like Ackerman Park and Kerwin Jones shows that Charleston residents are eager for accessible, community-centered sustainability solutions. I want to pause there because the next sentence talks about the scale of the composting program. This is, again, I want to help folks manage expectations. The investment of this program is unwavering. However, in terms of, I think where you won't see myself specifically as involved, we want to work collaboratively with neighboring municipalities And so we want to make sure that this composting program, that its impact, it reaches beyond just the programmatic outreach efforts, and that we kind of continue to teach folks how to engage in this practice. And so we'll continue to work with our neighbors all around the region. But what we do hope to see is more self-sufficiency with other jurisdictions in the future. So I hope that makes something a little bit more clear. Our presence will be felt, but in terms of the management of the program, the city doesn't have the capacity to kind of take on some of the responsibilities I think we did initially at the program's launch. So again, the regional impact from Mount Pleasant to Folly Beach, this is truly a regional effort with wide-reaching environmental benefits. And again, that will continue. Looking ahead, we are committed to building on this momentum by expanding access, enhancing infrastructure, and ensuring that composting remains a central tool in our city's fight against climate change. And I'm so sorry for this little pop-up. I just wanted to present some numbers, and if anyone has any specific questions, these numbers come directly from our partner, Smart Recycling. Megan has been a tremendous partner. Her outfit is diligently not only handling the logistics of the program, they're very responsive with any needs, whether it's locks or bin maintenance. Megan and Smart Recycling have been absolutely phenomenal in terms of being responsive to some of the needs. But these are just a snapshot. This is just a snapshot of our quarterly numbers that were just recently submitted. And the green areas are the city of Charleston largely reflected there. But as you can see with the other shaded areas, again, the program is growing and experiencing tremendous success. But Charleston is doing a phenomenal job. And with the new drop-off sites coming and the College of Charleston recently, launching their program, I'm very excited about that. So I just wanted, again, to underscore how important this program is, and the success is just more incentive for us to continue to grow this program. The next update is regarding Charleston Rainproof. And so I know there have been changes prior to my time as Director of Sustainability, but I did want to reassure the public that Rainproof is a top priority of mine. And I do plan on, we are currently coordinating, in essence, what's a relaunching of the program. So I'll just read the statement that I prepared. As Charleston continues to face compounding challenges of urban flooding, climate change, and neighborhood level environmental vulnerability, it's essential that we invest in resilient, community-centered solutions. With that in mind, I'm excited to share that the City of Charleston is working to reinstate and strengthen the Rainproof Mini Grant Program with improvements informed by community feedback and thoughtful critiques offered in past evaluations. I want to pause there and say that while interruption of the program did receive a lot of fanfare, what we should allow space for is some good faith critiques of how we can create more impact with the Rainproof program. And I think the best way to get there is by collaborating with some of our trusted partners in the community, such as the Charleston Climate Coalition. The next chapter of the program will reflect lessons learned from clearer performance metrics and better site targeting to equitably grant allocation and stronger installation oversight. And that's not necessarily chiefly by the city. I don't want that word oversight to frighten anyone. We're committed to building a more transparent, impactful, and accountable initiative. Long story short, we want to make sure that wherever these rain gardens are present, have a tremendous impact. And while I think the program was designed to be more generous and less discerning, I think in this new iteration, we'll be able to target areas of need to make sure that, hey, it's not just, we don't have a more arbitrary type of rain garden placement. We want to make sure that we're solving some of the problems that the rain gardens are set out to to address, but also understanding the limitations of a rain garden as well, right? It's not a cure-all. So how do we work to kind of shore up some of that? I'll go on to say we are especially proud to continue our collaboration with the Charleston Climate Coalition, whose early partnership helped catalyze the program and whose leadership remains central to its future success. Together, we will work to refine program goals, expand public engagement, and ensure that the most flood vulnerable residents are prioritized. Programs like Rainproof are not optional in a city like ours. They are essential. And they are strongest when built through collaboration. And I'll just say that the Climate Coalition has been meeting regularly with not just myself, but other city staff to target areas or to identify areas where rain gardens can, where we can kind of reinstate this program. So just stay tuned for developments regarding that. And if anyone has any questions toward the end of the meeting, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. The next is not an update, it's maybe an introduction to some, but perhaps just another, maybe an introduction. This is the Just Corridor. For those who don't know, the Just Corridor is essentially an idea brought to us by community partners, the Marsh Project. And we're so great. I'm grateful to have a member of the Marsh Project leadership here. Dr. Scott is here. Dr. Scott and his band of Mary Marsh Keepers came to the city with an idea to bring the first ecological corridor for the Southeast region, and an idea that would put Charleston at the forefront of some pretty amazing nature-based solutions and design. The significance of the name, I wanted to jump into that. Ernest Everett Just is one of those hidden figures of Charleston. He's a son of Charleston. He's the son of Mary Matthews Just, one of the founding matriarchs of Maryville. And I won't get into the entire story of Maryville, but I will say, for those who do know that story, it's a community that did face injustice in terms of its being annexed into the city, but this was a thriving community, African-American community, self-sufficient, upwardly mobile African-Americans, and it gave us Ernest Everett Just, a pioneer in marine biology and chemistry, and also ecological development. And as the Marsh Project presented this idea, for me, leveraging the archive is always important to kind of undergird some of our city initiatives. And so when I started to learn more about Ernest Everett Just, or E.E. Just, as he's called in some circles, I thought it was very appropriate to be inspired by this man. He was just an amazing pioneer. I'll read a little bit here. Ernest Everett Just was an inspiring African-American scientist and educator, and author whose groundbreaking work in cell and developmental biology transformed the field. A native of Charleston, South Carolina, Just triumphed over significant racial and economic challenges to pursue his education, earning a biology degree from Dartmouth in 1907, a PhD from the University of Chicago in 1916, and leaving a legacy that continues to inspire for generations. I'd also like to say it was E.E. Just's philosophical work that he authored later in life that truly inspired me in trying to have his legacy inform the Just Corridor. And I'll one little excerpt or quote from him: "Life is not only a struggle against the surroundings from which life came, it is also a cooperation with them." Essentially, E.E. Just believed that your environment shaped who you were morally. It shaped character. And I just feel that as all of us here are committed to making Charleston a more sustainable and resilient city, I think it's also important to understand how that makes us better people, and being surrounded by nature and pollinators and all types of access to green spaces really does make us better people and better neighbors. What is an ecological corridor? Ecological corridors are areas of natural land, filled with native plants and trees that connect larger conserved spaces, allowing plants and animals to move freely between them. These corridors are essential to maintaining biodiversity, allowing species to access food, water, and habitat, and we're included in those species, by the way. The framework, and this is borrowing heavily from the Marsh Project's framework, but I'll try to summarize it a bit here. As the City of Charleston's Director of Sustainability, I'm proud to support the development of Charleston's first urban ecological corridor, a bold initiative led by the Marsh Project. This grassroots-born effort, spearheaded by a team of committed local stewards, is working to restore, reconnect, and reimagine the peninsula's natural ecosystems through equitable, community-rooted design. The proposed ecological corridor is a visionary framework designed to enhance Charleston's resilience in the face of sea level rise and intensifying storms. I'm gonna skip a little bit. The corridor weaves together the city's remaining tidal creeks, that is the Halsey, Gadsden, and New Market Creeks, linking them through a network of native plantings, daylighted waterways, reforested streetscapes, and accessible green spaces. I'm gonna pause there too and say that while there have been a number of questions about what this would look like concretely, and I hate to use that word, what this would look like, that's still being defined. But we wanted to present the framework, and so you understand the concept, the overall concept. So we're still working to define these boundaries and these maps. Just wanted to interject with that. By transforming both the public and private parcels, this initiative will reintroduce biodiversity, mitigate stormwater, and improve livability, across some of our city's most flood-prone and historically underserved areas. The Marsh Project outlines this initiative. The Marsh Project outlines this initiative draws, this initiative draws on nature-based solutions to simultaneously address environmental and social and economic challenges. It promotes public engagement. And again, I'm skipping around a bit, positioning Charleston as a national model for how cities can align infrastructure with ecosystem restoration. The corridor is not just a physical intervention, it's a cultural reawakening that views land and water as a part of a shared community, which I think is in line with a lot of the work, again, led by this group and others. And these are just some basic bullet points here, why, we want to improve the livability. The stormwater benefits would be great. So thinking about how we manage water, how we live with water, what type of features that can we integrate with some of our design, our urban planning design, things that don't just aesthetically look great, but also serve a purpose. And of course, public health, native plantings and increased green space, improve air quality. As a city, as a municipality, we are duty bound to deliver clean air, clean water, and green spaces to our residents. And so I think this is just another way for us to deliver those essential city services. And for those who think this is a little too intellectual, it's really that simple. We are duty bound to deliver these things. Why not do it with a little flair and intentionality? Mm-hmm. And again, if anyone has any questions, because I'm long-winded and I'm realizing that, Kaylin, if anyone has any questions, you can please feel free. You want to chat, want to bring me a cup of coffee, want to, tell me a thing or two about why you don't have a caddy. Please feel free to call. My door is always open, and so is my inbox. And so if anyone has any questions, again, I guess we can save questions and comments toward the end. But yeah, that's it. That's my contribution. So I'll pass it to my colleague.
Well, before you do that, maybe any members of the committee have a question?
Sure. I'll stop sharing.
Yeah.
Hey
Hey, Mika, that was
Ah.
great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So I had a question about timelines on the rain proof and the just corridor. If you could go into that a little bit more, and if there are ways people could come involved.
Yeah, so no firm timelines on the just corridor currently. We're currently working step by step in terms of building out what it would look like. I know we're currently also working on a resolution that the March Project has authored, trying to craft that so we can kind of codify, so we can codify this initiative. I think that's the first step, but we are working to define what those areas are. Resourcing is a big part. I've been working diligently in terms of trying to secure resources. We've received some support or interest, I should say, from philanthropic sources like Bloomberg and whatnot. So we're just trying to figure out some details with that. So no timeline there. With regard to the rainproof, we're currently working. So both Charlton and Belvin with Climate Coalition have been meeting very regularly with myself and with our Civic Design Center. And also real estate has been helping us, and parks as well, and finding some locales for rain gardens. We're primarily focused on the east side, given that the Climate Coalition, I believe Katie announced this last year, they received this great grant from the Mayor's Climate Fund. So that kind of was the launch point in terms of some of the environmental work they wanted to do on the east side. But that on top of that, Katie set in motion some additional resourcing. So that's pretty much underway. We've just got to find these locations and then figure out the logistics of the resources. But that's almost immediate. And hopefully before the next quarter, I'll have an update for commissioners. There's something I can send via email about that.
Anyone else? Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Kaylin, you're on.
Would you like me to move? Sure. You want me to open up?
Stuart, in the meantime, are we allowed to take a question?
No.
Okay, you're right.
I believe I'm on the advisory committee, but this is the first meeting I've engaged in. Am I added to that, or am I just an audience?
You will be. Hold on one second.
Oh, I apologize. I
No,
didn't-
no.
You might, I don't think it's gone before council.
No.
Okay, that's why I raised the question.
Yeah.
Okay, and you gotta be.
I'll happily open it.
So he's on the council for next meeting or something, or?
We'll figure that
Okay.
technically out.
Okay,
But
fine.
yes, but if he wants, okay.
Well, yeah, we'll do that for public comments.
Yes, that works.
Following procedures, yeah.
Yes.
But how to run a meeting, so.
Okay, great. Appreciate you all being flexible with our taking over this committee and tech skills and getting this all set up. But for those of y'all that don't know me, I'm Kaylin Casella. I'm the Director of Resilience here at the City of Charleston. Have been at the city for over 4 years now in the mayor's office, special projects. Was working with my predecessor, Dale Morris, quite closely on resilience initiatives, and really excited and honored to take over that role last year. So just gonna go through some updates. At our last meeting, we touched base on some of these same topics. You may see me like routinely talking about the same things because these are the main projects. They're large projects that I work on, but they are, things are constantly happening with them. So I will bring you the latest updates on most of these projects. So just gonna go over, we'll start with the Army Corps partnership. You know, the Army Corps partnership, for folks that are familiar or haven't maybe been paying attention as much as the city's been working with, they are really the largest federal contributor for sources of funding, really large adaptation projects that the city is pursuing, you know, tackling our water challenges. So they're really the only game in town to fund these kind of projects. So we've been really fortunate to work with our congressional delegation, Senator Graham, Congressman Clyburn, Congresswoman Mace have been pretty influential in helping us because they get all their authority from Congress. So they do and fund what Congress tells them to, and they've been directed to help us here in Charleston. And there's through a variety of projects. Our first and probably one that's been most socialized over the years, kicked off in 2018, is is our battery extension project, and I have a slide. I'll get into a little more detail of where we are with that and leading on design. We also have, and that is specific to the peninsula. This is, initially was to address the storm surge concerns on the peninsula. We've also integrated looking at some tidal and flooding benefits as well. And that's how we've incorporated this other partnership we have with them, the tidal and flood risk management study, which encompasses the entirety of the city. We also have a really unique account that we get funding through with the Corps that is direct funding to our stormwater infrastructure. And I'll speak more about each of those in details. So our battery extension, where are we at with that project? You may have heard it been referred to as the Coastal Storm Risk Management Project. The Corps loves nothing more than acronyms. We want to begin talking about this project to reflect how we envision it and how we want the public to envision it. And that's really the extension of the battery. The picture you're looking at is our rehabilitated low battery that the city fully funded ourselves. If you haven't been down that way from around Murray Boulevard, it's beautiful. It's parklet space, it's added protection, it's a public amenity. People love it, residents love it, people visiting our city love it. We're in the final phase of that up by White Point Garden. So if you go around White Point Garden, you'll see some construction that's finalizing our last phase of our low battery. So, really no brainer if we're talking about, we know we need this protection for the city. And we also know we struggle with connectivity around the perimeter, from safety, from pedestrian bicycling. We hear from the public, we want more access to our waterfront. We can kill multiple birds with one stone here and really find a project that marries form and function. And that's our vision for the battery extension. So the past 6 months, we've actually been operating under an MOU with the Corps, where we fronted some money to do some preliminary design and optimizing of the alignment for the first phase of this project, which is the west side. That is from the Citadel down to the Coast Guard station. That's really on the peninsula. We see flooding and impacts all over the peninsula, but really, if you're driving on a sunny day, tidal flooding day, Lockwood Drive is closed, medical districts gets inundated. So that's really why we're focusing on phase 1 first on the west side. And the original Corps alignment was pretty wonky. There was about 14 plus vehicular gates crossing Calhoun Street, crossing Lockwood. Really didn't marry that form and function we're looking for as a city, and a bit disruptive to the public realm. So likely at the next meeting, I hope we have some updated renderings and viewings of the alignment to share with the public, because the scope is the first initial phase of the scope of work that we worked on through the city is being finalized. But just know that the goal is enhancing the public realm, pushing the alignment out so it's off the street, more of a cohesive and streamlined public pedestrian experience, but also integrating. We have a lot of exciting things happening over on the west side of the peninsula that's going to connect us with the rest of the city as well, including, so this is working to integrate with our Ashley River crossing. If you've been out in the Ashley River, you've seen that construction's and engineering is already underway there. We even have some road closures in the night, so follow the police department for that. But we're trying to integrate this. So really the idea that, folks can hop on the Greenway, even all the way from Johns Island to West Ashley, bike down, bike across safely. They could get to work at the medical district. They could get to a River Dogs game up by connecting on the battery extension to go up through the west side. They could, and then in terms go all the way around the peninsula to the east side as well. So that's really the goal. And we're really through this process pushing the Corps to be innovative and help expedite this, because as we know through our water plan efforts, it has informed us all of our planning around water the past 10 years. We really don't have time to wait. We need to move these things forward. We can't wait 15 years for something to be built. We really need it now. We don't want to wait for something to happen to get the expeditiously moving forward on these projects. So that's what's happening in a nutshell with the battery extension. Again, stay tuned. We'll be rolling out more information on that over the next couple of weeks and through the summer here at the city. Again, our next tidal and inland flood risk management study. This kicked off last year. This was really, obviously the peninsula, I think that's, folks see flooding impacts on there. We have most of our road closures happening, but the rest of our West Ashley, James Island, they're dealing with some flooding issues too, albeit maybe a little different complexities, but they're there, and our water plan tells us that they're only going to continue to grow. So what's really cool is this tidal and inland flood risk management study that we got authorized by Congress back in 2020, and provided some funding again from the help from our congressional delegation. It took the water plan, and if, you know, you've all, I know this committee probably has absorbed and gone through quite in-depth the water plan. There's just some conceptual ideas there. You know, this is what's coming at you, city. Here's the opportunities that you could envision to how to continue to live here positively with water. So it really used the water plan as a guide to now start like scoping and refining these solutions with the goal of getting some federal funding to have with those implementation. And what's really exciting about the Tidal and Inland is particularly looking at West Ashley and James Island is the opportunity for more nature-based solutions. And what I can tell you now is the Corps has reached out to the city and asked us to lead on this building our nature-based solutions. So that's really exciting. And so that's kind of the next step with this study. And also I'm getting ahead of my presentation, but public input with the Corps. They've been part of our WaterWise open house series that we've kicked off through the city.
Right.
So you've been seeing them there. This is the public feedback moment to come and speak with them about these projects. And then lastly, with what we've got going on with the Army Corps, like I said, we have this really unique fund. It's, to get wonky, it's called Section 219 Environmental Infrastructure. It's a earmarked appropriated fund that the Corps has, and we worked with our congressional delegation to get funding. We just recently in December got over $7.5 million to continue work to rehabilitate our brick arches downtown, which the city's already invested a significant amount of funds. We've seen a lot of success in the Mile Plus that's been already done, connecting old historic sewage systems into bringing them online with our underground pipe systems here. So it's really successful project. We just went before city council. This funding got cleared to get this work kicked off this year. And then separately, we also got some funding to move forward with some of the design that's been out there in the DuPont Wapoo Basin out in West Ashley. And again, the benefit of this authorization is we don't have to go through a 3-year plus study with the Corps. It's giving direct work to them, which is really exciting because again, we really don't want to wait 6 or 12 years to just continuously study things when I think we know the problems and the solutions pretty much by now. I did want to do a quick update. This is related to our Army Corps work as well. Our resilience planning efforts that we kicked off in the Rosemont and Bridgeview communities on the upper end of the peninsula. We kicked that off with our community partners, the Low Country Alliance for Model Communities, CCRAB, and the Sustainability Institute. And of course, our #1 community partner is the communities themselves. Again, this is a planning effort that is not a city planning effort. It is city contributing to a community planning effort. And we really do see this effort as something that could be piloted in a framework that could be used for communities across the city that are, you know, the water plan has identified them as like adaptation areas. And it's really about communities being stewards of their own plans and advocating for the solutions that they want to see to help them continue to thrive in their community and in the face of our water challenges. But specific to Rosemont and Bridgeview, you know, they are part of this peninsula project with the Army Corps of Engineers. They have been deemed for non-structural measures, so voluntary home elevations, as well as some flood proofing. So this is also helping build up capacity. LAMC and Sustainability Institute are doing some community engagement training, leadership training with the citizens there to help them be better prepared to be their stewards of the plan. Our water plan team is doing some project development identification, nature-based forward for the folks. So we are looking to we've been in conversations with the community and having a larger community kickoff meeting in June. So we're excited about that. And then this actually blends nicely with the eco corridor, the Just Corridor, because she talked about one of our last creeks here on the peninsula is the New Market Creek restoration. This is also a pilot project in the water plan. So yes, there is still grant money out there that exists. So I mean, we take notice. We have an amazing grant manager. She keeps her eye on it. And if it's up there, we apply. And this one was there. It's a NOAA Transformational Habitat Restoration and Coastal Resilience Grant. And we applied for $6 million to enhance ecological and community resilience for the New Market Creek area. The city just kicked off. We did some engagement. We're funding design work, starting with construction for that first phase of the low line. This very much plays into that project and how we make that linear park more resilient. it's great if we can build a, you know, pedestrian path down this line, but if it's gonna be routinely underwater because of tidal flooding from New Market Creek, we need to address that. And the water plan gave us the roadmap to do that, and this funding, we hope, will help kickstart that effort as well. And again, this is exactly what Mika's talking about with the eco corridor. There's already plans and projects in place that can fit into this concept and framework of the eco corridor, and this is one of those. And then separately, we've also applied for, this is more on our kind of flood response and data collection side, a hazard mitigation grant program. This is money that the state gets after disaster. So this is some money that they got for Helene that municipalities are able to apply for. And we've really been talking at the city a lot about how do we build, because data help informs response during an event, but also the data helps us like prepare better, but help build out our projects when we're going after funding as well too. So really this need to boost, it's a capacity issue as a lot of things are at the city, you know, put out some more flood sensors. The police also applied for this grant to get some more flood cameras, and how we really build a program of monitoring and helping like more cohesively communicate and support like data informed decision making. So we're hopeful. We actually, our GIS team helps work with this as well. We also just have a newly appointed director of innovation, Shannon Slade, I think some of y'all are familiar with. So she's going to be, they're all my cohort and kind of moving forward on this data initiative and flood data collection. So we're excited about that. And then I'm going to plug here our WaterWise Charleston. Hopefully y'all become familiar with that. We've been trying to put it out in our newsletter and in the media, but really this is yes, our open house events that we've kicked off here in May, but we really want people to start thinking WaterWise Charleston is how anything we're trying to communicate with water is under this brand. I'm trying to build the website with, right now my limited website capabilities, but all these things exist there of like, this is your one-stop shop, you know. The city has so much amazing like resources for residents, whether it's, you know, being communicated and what you need to do to prepare for an event. Our stormwater department has awesome resources, floodplains for homeowners. We have project information, we have our plans. They're just like 6 clicks away in different areas on the website, right? Like it's really hard to sort of streamline in that. So this is really an effort to streamline all that information and communicate it is this kind of one brand of WaterWise. So what we've done this month is kick off, you know, we've had a lot of planning, we're moving into action, we've had projects rolling out. From our water plan that helped build out our basin flood action plan, which is people can pull up. We really want people to start thinking of their basin, not just their street, not just their neighborhood, not just the council district they live in. And quite frankly, when we jump across the river over to James Island, West Ashley, not even if you're in the town of James Island or in the city of Charleston or an unincorporated county, if all of our planning with water has taught us water knows no boundary, we start thinking by our basins. So the water plan identified 18 basins. We then took those basins as a city, our amazing city civic design team, then put them in a beautiful mapping. They have current stormwater projects, maintenance checks, plus our water plan projects overlaid on that. So folks can really help to see what's happening in their basin and again, help advocate for what's next. So we've already had 2 over 5 kickoff events. And again, we have a lot of city representation there. Army Corps of Engineers, we've had the State Office of Resilience, Charleston County, plus some of our community partners. I see our friends from the Coastal Conservation League were there. And it's really, you know, and the best feedback we had is like, it's awesome all these people in the room because we all are pieces of this puzzle to face our flooding and water challenges. So that's really what we're conveying. And to really plug some of the cool stuff we have going on, you can see some folks standing on our 16-foot by 16-foot interactive floor map. So kind of guide people to walk in, they find their basins are outlined there, and then you'll see we then have like our blown up basin maps for each area of this of the city that you're in there. So we really hope that, you know, y'all can spread the word out to your network as well, but please join us. Again, we have 3 more of those. Next Monday, we have one here on the peninsula. I'm also going to plug on the peninsula. We obviously have a lot of things going on the peninsula that are adjacent to water and always water related. So we'll also have some updates to share on some of our peninsula projects as well. And then May 28th, we'll be out in Daniel Island, and May 29th, we'll be on Johns Island. And all those are 4:30 to 7:30. there's a little QR link there. If you want to go to my information rich, maybe imagery landing page. And then this wasn't on the agenda, but it's hot off the presses, so I did want to share this. I'm looking at Christine because she's been part of this she's been part of this planning effort on heat for the past several years with the city. We just released, I mean, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, went live, Christine, this Low Country Heat Action Plan Toolkit. So with our partners, I have them listed on the next page, but being led with South Carolina Sea Grant, MUSC, the Citadel Center for Near Climate, Climate Adaptation Partners, NOAA, the city, and some other folks too have all been part of this conversation. It started with our heat watch back in like 2021. I think Stuart, you're one of the folks that drove around in the early morning. We had, yes, okay, some folks here did that. Then we also got some NOAA pilot funding, working with Sea Grant through the CHIRP program, the Charleston Heat Research Program. I probably got that acronym wrong. They did some heat data collection in the Gadsden Green community. Our awesome GIS department has put some tools out there for a cooling center map for the city. Also a really good story map on city street tree canopy. Obviously, we know trees are a really good tool. Okay. Finding the serendipity with the eco corridor, do more trees, you know, it's a really good tool for water management, but also for mitigating the impacts of heat. So this website has been generously hosted by the Citadel and the Near Center for Climate on their website. I do also have it linked on the city, but you'll see, I really encourage you all to scroll through that. You'll see tips for how to be heat prepared, the science behind extreme heat, the kind of critical data tools we use it to collect it, you know, signs to prepare yourself for heat illness in vulnerable populations. I learned, you know, heat is the #1 weather killer. It's also, I think we were on one call and I was shocked. I was on a call with somebody had done this work out in North Carolina, had a heat action plan, and it was young men in sports were actually some of the most vulnerable. So some of the populations you don't even think of vulnerable. We kind of started this conversation in Charleston of like, well, we assess heat for horses, but not for people. So how do we bring this more to the forefront? So, and also, you know, again, get out the word through your networks. Next week is National Heat Safety Week. Again, QR code there for the Low Country Heat Action Toolkit. And finally, myself, Christine, Sea Grant, Dr. Curtis over at the Citadel, we'll all be talking. Casey, our awesome GIS developer here at the city, will be talking about this on a webinar next Tuesday, is the 20th at 3 p.m. So please invite you to join if you are able to. And that is it for me.
That's wonderful. Really exciting things happening. Caitlin mentioned about the heat study that we did. I actually walked part of the Greenway where it was about 85 degrees outside and the pavement was, the asphalt was already 130. And part of the Greenway has no trees. So you can imagine people trying to walk on the Greenway. What a difference it would make if there were trees there to reduce the heat. Things like that. Both of you, great presentations. Anything about the mayor?
I think the mayor may have, so the governor was in town this morning up at the County Emergency Operations Center, and the mayor was, everything I just talked about, pushing to that, so I think he may be.
Okay, that's fine.
Fine.
Well, what? Okay.
Just have a quick question.
Sure.
So you talked about the renderings for drawings with the Army Corps and a meeting coming up. Do you know when that meeting will be?
So we don't have, so where we are now, our initial 6 months of work that we've been working with the water plan team was just optimizing the alignment for the west side. So by rendering, I meant like seeing a new line on the map of the local preferred alignment. We have some loose sketches. I mean, really a design rendering of what it would look like is the restored low battery. So we have some loose sketches that we'll probably be working on, but we are still working through with the Corps to get to a phase where we have like, you know, design specs and things. We're not at that phase yet, but we will have a map at the Peninsula meeting on the 19th. It's a really neat map. It shows the battery extension, but it also shows like all these connected spaces that we'll be getting, you know, with the low line coming down the spine. We're gonna have the connectivity on the perimeter of the peninsula with the battery extension. And then we're gonna have the Ashley River crossing coming over West Ashley to connect that side of the city. So it's a more like bird's eye view map of, that's what will be on display at the peninsula meetings, and some just like really loose visions of like what the battery potentially could look like. So more defined specs, and, you know, once we get into a more design phase with the core, expect there to likely be some more like public charrette style workshops, things of that nature. So it's just really more of the engineering side of the design that's been done so far, just on the outline.
Any other questions from committee members?
My only question on the battery, the Army Corps discussions, what kind of time frame are we talking? 10 years, longer?
So if you talk to the Army Corps, you know, they're processing, you know, it could be, you know, for final construction of the entirety of the project could be 10 to 15 years. We are pushing extremely hard. Myself, the mayor, some folks from the mayor's office, we're actually going out to DC next week to talk to some folks at the Army Corps, talk with our congressional delegation of, you know, hey, it's a new administration. What can we find to take advantage of to help us here in Charleston and expedite some of these projects? Because again, we really don't have 10 to 15 years to wait. We're trying to find some really innovative angles of how we could expedite. I mean, look, it took us 6 years to build the low battery, so we anticipate, if it, just the city, obviously resources aside, we could probably pretty quickly do this in half the time of the Army Corps. So not a defined timeline yet, but that's how we're thinking about the timing of this project.
Any other questions, comments from committee
I
members?
do. So you mentioned the new administration and everything, and that kind of brings up, you know, FEMA. And, you know, I feel like there's probably some angst in any community who has been through these natural disasters about that. So what are your thoughts on how we move forward without a FEMA and without money coming in to help after a disaster?
I mean, you know, I think the way we look at it is we're a local government with our challenges and opportunities that regardless of what's happening in DC, residents expect us to keep moving forward with it, right? So we've also been, you know, which does require, you know, the city's done a lot of this work, you know, conversations with Kristen at the COG of how do we improve like coordination at a regional level to how do we maybe look at some local sources of funding that are out there, and how do we maybe work to have them fit the projects we're looking to too, you know? So it's some of that is identifying through that. I mean, you know, I would defer some of the FEMA questions more to our floodplain management team, but you know, we do have a partnership with the Natural Resources Defense Council, and they've been helping the city a lot over the past years as kind of a consultant and guide for some of these larger federal issues. But you know, there's FEMA money that is being not there right now. I mean, we just have to, as a city, plan, and they're helping us identify some other financing options that cities, not just Charleston, but they're working on a like white paper for a document for other sources of kind of different funding mechanisms that whether it's different like bonds or something of that nature, or whether it's like revolving loan, or just sort of other financing mechanisms that really communities on the front line can use. Because the reality is we can't really halt the progress and work that we're making. You know, it makes it a little more challenging, but you know, we again, we're trying to use some priorities as an opportunity to push things along that we are doing here. So yeah, never easy, but we're trying to navigate, and just, you guys have to get a little more creative of how we, and again, I think reinforcing that partnership with our other municipalities and counties and as a region.
Right, and I'm thinking on the local level, like the individual level. You know, a lot of individuals have received FEMA assistance, and they're not gonna get that in the future. So I feel like we need to, you know, really get it out there that citizens need to, you know, maybe even have a savings account for a natural disaster. You know, people need to really individually need to start thinking this.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, you know, I'm glad you brought that up, Christine, because that is also one of the components of like this larger water-wise ideas. It's like, everybody has their own sort of like role to play in this, and whether it's making sure, looking at the water plan, understanding like where you are, your future, and like, what does that mean for you, and how do you have to prepare yourselves? That's part of it, right? Certainly part of it is what the city's role is and how we fund and resource things, but that's certainly part of it is trying to educate better too of what folks need to be prepared for.
Right.
We'll open up for public comment. If someone in the public wants to make a comment.
Can I ask a question to Mika at this point?
Yeah, go ahead, of course.
Hi, sorry, Mika. This is Lucy Davis, proxy for Kendra Stewart. Just wanted to ask a question. Last meeting, and I believe you were standing in as Katie was going through that transition. We really focused a lot on the NOMO March, our pollinator guidelines. And I was just wondering, do you have any data or just information about the success of NOMO March and community engagement and where we're at with that?
No, that's something I definitely have to follow up on. In the transition, of course, there are a lot of loose
Yes.
ends and whatnot that needed to be tied up, but please, if you could,
Yeah.
you and I can have a conversation. I'll prioritize some time so we can kind of figure out what those numbers look like currently.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
For sure, yeah.
I'll send you an email.
Thanks for the nudge as well.
No worries, thanks.
We did have Jamie, that's okay. It's Jamie from Keep Charleston Beautiful. We did have, and that was sort of, I think, in that transition period as Katie was departing and onboarding. We did have like a resident giveaway of
Mhm.
Right.
the NOMO,
Yeah,
sign, the
right.
I
pollinator
guess we got
signs.
some and I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
didn't know where we were at.
We have quite a few left.
Okay, yeah, so
For next March.
yeah, sounds like we work with you all to figure out how we get those out for next year.
And I can add Jamie to that email just to.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I may real quick, Mr. Chairman, if any public commenters would state your name for the record, address also if you don't mind, but if you do mind, no worries about that.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Any other good, sir?
Hi, Trey Mars, third generation Charlestonian, serial entrepreneur. First time I dealt with the issues of the water and the flooding in Charleston was when I came home from USC, coming down into the crosstown in a Fiero. If you remember how slow those were, and hit the bottom of the bridge and was going, how am I gonna get through? Because other cars had started out, and because the car was a mid-engine, I actually made it through where other higher vehicles didn't. So fast forward 5 years ago, I began talking with a company called Orbia over in the Netherlands. I had another business associate over there and was doing a lot of Googling about what business opportunities were around. And have anybody during the course explored Plastic Road or heard of it?
Yep.
Plastic Road is a patented product that is made out of recycled plastics. It has little drop gates on the sides of the road where the water runs off and down into 8-inch channels. And it takes and gradually it has a filtration system to let it absorb into the ground. It will do a very good job eliminating flooding in Charleston. Like I said, I started 5 years ago, met with Tecklenburg, then COVID came and their company went into disarray. And the last 2 years I've been talking with the new folks over there and understanding the metric system and the euro conversions and stuff. It's very feasible to actually implement these plastic roads in Charleston, especially in downtown where 40 miles an hour, and they will actually sustain trucks up to 18 wheels, and their life expectancy is about 30 years. So I thought I would share that. And if anybody, I don't know who I would actually need to make a presentation to at some
Well,
later.
I would suggest that you either talk to Kaylin or Tamika, but I also would suggest that if you go to the Charleston website on planning and sustainability, you get an idea. Kaylin mentioned some of the projects that are taking place, but if you just use the crosstown as an example, how much we have decreased the amount of flooding there because of some of the storm drainage issues that we've been able to do, and how many are still in the works in order to move ahead. So it's city, we've done a tremendous amount. So if you get an opportunity, maybe you can meet with probably Kaylin
I was wondering,
and give you some history and to give you an idea of where we are with all those drainage projects which are still going on. Go ahead.
I want to make a.
You gotta give your name.
Blake Scott, 211 Gordon Street. I live in Wagner Terrace. I'm also one of the co-founders of the Marsh Project. I'm a professor at the College of Charleston. I just wanted to thank Mika and Kaylin for your presentations and say that there are two things with the Just Eco Corridor. It has started as a grassroots project, not at the municipal level yet, but at the neighborhood and nonprofit level. We have 150 private property owners who've signed up for 10 aspirational goals for the ecological corridor. We've begun a series of nature-based solutions at Halsey Creek in the neighborhood which we live.
Oh.
We've done an oyster reef restoration before at the mouth of the creek. Then we have several demonstration gardens along the creek to show how we can create vegetative buffers through nature-based solutions. I also want to make a second point that the idea of the Just Eco Corridor is a plan and a narrative of connectivity for these good works that are being done across the municipality in the Tri-County area. So it's not reinventing the wheel, it's just trying to create a synthesis that we can create a narrative around this and stand up for something with Charleston. Say we have the first urban ecological corridor that can also create opportunities for folks, not unlike the High Line in New York or the Beltline in Atlanta or the Bayou Project in Houston. So that was our idea of presenting it.
Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. Anybody else? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see your hand. Go ahead.
Rebecca Fanning, 30 Southampton Drive. I want you to know that I don't have a no-mow march sign in my yard, but I have been paying the kid next door not to mow my lawn. For the last 3 months. No-mow May. Legacy Society says so. They might kind of sticker to hide that. Yeah. I also am here to express support for the E-Just Corridor, which I think is a phenomenal opportunity for the city to integrate a lot of the projects that are already suggested in the water plan, using the foundation of the land and water analysis that came out with the city comprehensive plan, and then adding an element of biodiversity support, as well as, pedestrian walkability and urban heat island mitigation. So I'm really excited about the framework that has been proposed for sort of sewing all of those different co-benefits together in a pilot project. And I'd also like to say that I'm really happy to hear today that the rainproof program may be coming back for homeowners to engage in rain gardens, especially with some of the constructive criticism that came out of it with needing to make sure that these folks don't live in HOAs, or if they do, that they've spoken to their HOA about it, and then citing rain gardens correctly so that they will thrive and not fail and cause actually more flooding on a street. So I'm excited to hear about that project and wish it well.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Go ahead, Em.
Hi, I'm Amaya Hargrove, 4150 Eagle Drive. I work for Palmetto Goodwill. I wanted to come here and just introduce myself and let everyone know about the initiatives that Goodwill is taking for sustainability. As you guys know about Goodwill, we've always been a sustainable company by diverting waste from households from landfills to resell them and to drive our mission for the community. I just want to come here. I'm the manager of sustainability for Palmetto Goodwill. It's a new position, so we have a lot of different things coming up, and we are looking for, textile recycling, plastics, glass, just anything. And I just want to put my name out there and meet everyone and just have that conversation, just in case anything cool pops up that you guys know. You can let me know. Talk after this.
Well,
Can you say your name one more time? Sorry. And I also can't, hi.
I'm Amaya Hargrove.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we're doing a lot of very cool stuff. So Palmetto Goodwill is huge. It doesn't just cover Charleston County, but also going up to Myrtle Beach and going down to near Savannah, but not quite, but Hilton Head, Beaufort area. And it's pretty big, so I just wanted to meet everyone.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Don't mind, Mr. Chairman, real quick. We've
Yeah.
got two people online over the phone. They may want to speak if they want to press *6
Okay, thank you.
to unmute themselves. Sounds like we're good.
No, and I don't think Diamond has anything that she wants to add either.
No.
We did have
Okay,
one comment online, but that was from Amaya.
okay, thank you. Go ahead.
I'm going to be adjourned.
Second? All in favor? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.